In this video, we're talking about Hurricane Ida's leftovers making a push to cause major problems on the East Coast. The Storm Prediction Center has issued an enhanced risk of severe weather with a 10% chance of tornadoes. Also, a historic flooding event is unfolding where some people could see more than 10 inches of rain. Then, we have to look at the tropics as there are multiple areas of concern in the future. Welcome back, y'all. Ryan Hall here with the weather forecast. And hey, look, I found my glasses. I figured I'd need them today. A lot of time in front of the screens today because we have so much going on. If you know anybody that lives in the path of this storm, please consider sharing this on social media and just get it in front of as many people as possible, because I'm going to do my best to really go in depth and explain all the intricacies of this storm so that you can know what to expect. Now, without further ado, let's start talking about the weather. All right, here's a big old look at the United States of America, and as you can see, really there's not a lot going on out there except for the remnants of Hurricane Ida are causing a bunch of rain over here in the Northeast. Let's check it out. So already this morning in portions of eastern Pennsylvania, North Jersey, all the way down into southern portions of New York, into Long Island and Connecticut, we are seeing some really intense rainfall. And if you think that it's raining hard right now, you ain't seen nothing yet, because the bulk of the storm still hasn't got to you. That's right, what's left of Hurricane Ida is still spinning up to your south and west, and it's got a long ways to go before it completely gets out of there. And remember, there's two sides to this storm today. If you're on the northern side of that rotation, your main concern today is going to be the extremely heavy rain and obviously the very, very bad and possibly deadly flooding that's going to be going on. But if you're south of that line, okay, in DC, Maryland, the Delmarva area, all the way down as far as Richmond, I would say that your biggest concern today is going to be the severe weather and possibly some tornadoes. And that's what I want to talk about first on the weather models. All right, now we're taking a look at the NAM 3 kilometer model here, and we're really going to focus in on the mid-Atlantic region, okay? Once again, the Storm Prediction Center has put out an enhanced risk of severe weather with a 10% chance of tornadoes through a broad area here. And I know that don't sound like a lot, but that's a pretty elevated chance, especially for this area during a tropical system, okay? It's very common for these things to put down a lot of tornadoes, and that's what we are expecting today. Now, are these going to be large, violent, long-track tornadoes? I don't know, but the fact is it doesn't matter. If a weak tornado comes through your neighborhood, you're going to feel it, and you're going to wish you would have known it was coming, okay? So let's do everything we can to completely prepare for the worst here in this elevated risk area for tornadoes. So let me show you what the radar could look like as the day goes on. If you want to keep up with the time, it's always going to be right there above my head. We're starting at 10 a.m. Let's go into 11, 12, 1, and 2, and this is where things start to get interesting, okay? That low pressure center, what's left of Ida, somewhere down here spinning around, and what it's doing is it's spinning up a bunch of cooler air from the backside up this way, and it's meeting with that very warm and moist air on the front, and that's going to spark up some thunderstorms right here along that boundary from west of Washington, D.C., point south all the way into portions of North Carolina. Now, when these storms pop up, the further north you are along that line, the more relative spin you have in the atmosphere. So that's why that 10% risk exists up here in this area, because even though some of the more scattered and isolated storms are popping up down here, there's not as much spin down there. However, okay, all the way down to Richmond, Virginia, and even a little bit further south than that. Watch these storms closely, because there is some spin in the atmosphere, okay? We've got that lower level jet stream screaming around 40 knots down here, so I wouldn't be surprised at all to see some isolated tornadoes as far south as Richmond, Virginia, or even maybe into extreme northern parts of North Carolina. But the main area we're going to focus on here is right there at that axis. I showed you that line earlier. North, we're talking about heavy rain. South, we're talking about severe weather. The closer you are to that conversion area, the more spin there is, and the more likely we're going to see some tornadoes. DC, you're in that spot. Baltimore, you're in that spot. The whole Delmarva area, you're in that spot. And maybe even some southeastern portions of Pennsylvania, and of course southern Jersey here. So let's go ahead and push this forward. You can see those storms really start to ramp up today around 4 p.m. 4 p.m. is when we're expecting the vast majority of these storms to become organized enough to start dropping a bunch of tornadoes. And as you can see here, we got big storms right around the D.C. region, all the way down into southern Maryland, and of course, once again, into the eastern portions of Virginia. But these storms right here, those are the ones we have to watch extremely closely, and we're going to push this forward. We're probably going to see some tornado warnings all across this region by 6 and 7 and 8 p.m. this evening, and that's when the threat's going to be pushing into the South Jersey region, okay? So if you live down here, south of Tom's River and south of Philadelphia. That's where the number one threat for some big storms that could cause tornadoes is going to be today, okay? So that's kind of what the radar is going to look like. And you got to keep in mind that this is not exactly what the radar is going to look like. This line of storms could form a little bit earlier, or it could form a little bit later. It could be a little bit north of this. It could be a little bit south of this. This isn't exact science here. All I'm doing is showing you what to look for later. If you have a good radar app, if you have a way to keep up with the weather on your own, and you see this line of storms starting to pop up, look at it, okay? Am I east of that? Is this thing going to be able to travel in my direction? And if so, then you've got a very dangerous situation unfolding, and you got to be ready to get in that safe spot. You want to get in the most interior room of your home if a tornado warning is issued, or if you don't have anything you trust in your home, maybe you're in a mobile home or something like that, get to a sturdy shelter that's really close to you. Because not only are these things going to be numerous, we might have multiple tornadoes, they're going to happen fast and they're going to travel fast, so you might not have much time to react. So go ahead and take whatever precautions are necessary to protect your life and property today. Have a plan in place and you'll be glad that you did. Hopefully we don't get a bunch of tornadoes, but I always say don't be scared, be prepared. Now for all you weather nerds out there, I've got to show you the details behind this. What's causing this possible mini tornado outbreak here? Well, Hurricane Ida has spun up some really intense lower level jet stream winds here on its southeastern quadrant. Okay, you can see there around noon today, we're already going to have some winds above the surface around 50 to 60 knots. And what we're going to see here as we push this forward, when those storms start popping up, they're going to be right there where some of the winds are going to be approaching 70 knots, okay? So that's the 850 millibar wind level, and that's what we call the lower level jet stream. And you can see the direction of these winds is like this, but out in front of it on the surface, we have some winds coming in like this. And of course, whenever you combine those two directions, we get some counterclockwise spin here. And right there where that lower level jet stream is at the highest, that's where we are most likely to see some tornadoes. Now, if you see some stuff back here on this side, yeah, we're going to have some higher, 850 millibar winds, but there's not enough spin back there to cause tornadoes. We're mainly worried about once again, on the southern side of that axis in the southeastern quadrant. That's where we're most likely to see some bad stuff going on. And look at this, those values really intensify over southern portions of Jersey. That is looking quite concerning right there. Another thing we can look at here is the significant tornado parameter. This is a really cool model because it takes the lower level jet stream, the surface winds, the dew points, the convective energy, all of these different things that go into making tornadoes, and it puts it all together for us, wraps it up real neat, and gives us a scale between 1 and 10 of how likely tornadoes are to be in that area. Basically, that's what this model does. So let's look at the significant tornado parameter. As you can see, as we go later on into the day, 4 p.m. today, we get some heightened values, okay? Right next to Washington, D.C. here, we're talking about maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10 on the SIGTOR parameter. You don't usually see that unless the conditions are favorable for tornadoes. But things actually really start to increase here as we get into the Chesapeake Bay area. Look at that, 15 or 16 out of 10. Now, don't take that the wrong way. That doesn't mean that there's 160% chance of tornadoes today. The scale down here only goes up to 10, but I do believe that there's a lot of factors that can bring that model value over 10, and it's not literally breaking the charts here. However, I honestly haven't seen significant tornado parameters that high in a little while, okay? And the last time I think we saw something like this, we definitely saw a bunch of tornadoes. So, and once again, everybody in this area right here needs to do whatever they can to prepare for it, because even though it's very unlikely that you personally will be impacted by a tornado, even if we see a plethora of tornadoes out there today, tornadoes are small, okay? And the population out here is very big. So, don't be scared. Don't, cower up and just hide all day and obsess over the weather. But if that tornado does come down your street or head towards your place of work today, I want you to be prepared, and I want you to have a plan in place and know what you're going to do in the back of your mind just in case that was to happen. So that's pretty much all I have to say about the tornado threat. Now let's talk about the flood. All right, still looking at the NAM 3-kilometer model here, and we are going to be focusing on, remember, the northern axis this time. So we just talked about the tornadoes down here. Now on the north side, it's going to be almost just as dangerous, but instead of tornadoes, we're talking about flooding, okay? The Weather Prediction Center has put out a high risk of flooding in this area, and guys, I got to tell you right now that is rare, okay? That doesn't happen all the time. The moderate risk is issued by the WPC when they think, widespread flooding is going to happen. A high risk is only issued when they think that there's literally a life-threatening situation unfolding. This could end up being, for some areas, a once-in-a-lifetime flood, okay? So if you lived out here in southern portions of Pennsylvania, maybe you live near Harrisburg and you think you've seen it all before, you've had some close calls with some other floods, but never in your life have you seen it come close to endangering you. Well, this could be the one situation where it could exceed everything you've ever seen before. Now, I'm not saying 100% that that's going to happen, but once again, we're all about preparedness here, and that could happen, all right? We could be talking about a 100-year flood, a once-in-a-lifetime flood for some places here in southeastern Pennsylvania, all the way up through northern Jersey, extreme southern portions of New York, and into Connecticut. It won't happen for all of you at once, but there will be tributaries and certain rivers that will flood and probably break records during this storm. So let's continue to look at the radar here. Let's track this. As of right now, it's already raining, and it looks like it's only going to intensify as the day goes on. Okay, here we are at 3 p.m. You can see it's still raining heavily through this area, from Scranton to Hazleton to Waterbury to Hartford. Really, it's already raining really hard, and all of these places are under the gun for some very significant flooding, including Somerset, Pennsylvania, which around 3 p.m. will probably be getting a blinding downpour, probably up there with the likes of some of the heaviest rain you've ever seen. Now, look at how this is working, okay? All of our tornadic thunderstorms here are feeding into the center of circulation and kind of feeding the monster here when it comes to the flooding situation. All right, all these storms are just kind of lofting up here into this big rain band and just making it more intense as we go forward. Here we are at 7 p.m. this evening, and yes, at 7 p.m. this evening, it will still be raining heavily in eastern Pennsylvania. This is why we're so concerned about this. At this point, you could have picked up 6 inches of rain, maybe even closer to 8. And at this point, some of the heavier rain starts making it into North Jersey, and we're still dealing with that heavy rain in Pennsylvania. Now it's getting into southern portions of New York and Connecticut, and it's still raining in eastern Pennsylvania. And then look at this, guys. We're all the way out at 3 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. And we're still talking about this heavy rain all the way up through portions of New England. And this is why we're so concerned about it. We have an extended period of rain coming through, and this is not your average rain. This is tropical rain, and it's going to come down fast. And those rivers and creeks are going to also come up fast. So here's a look at how much rain the NAM 3-kilometer model thinks that we could get. Once again, a lot of southeastern Pennsylvania is under the gun here for 5 inches of rain or more. In fact, there are some areas here that might see close to 10 inches of rain. And I'm telling you right now, guys, if we see 10 inches of rain over here with all these already saturated grounds, in such a short period of time, there's going to be devastating flooding, okay? And those higher totals reach all the way up here into northeastern portions of Pennsylvania, southern New York, and of course over here all the way to Hartford, Connecticut. You could see up to 6 inches of rain possibly with this storm. And, you know, if it's actually as widespread as what this model is showing, if we actually wake up tomorrow and most of Pennsylvania has seen more than 2 or 3 inches of rain, and some areas have seen up to 10 inches, I can't even imagine the river flooding that's going to be going on over there. So just like I was talking about with the tornadoes, don't be scared, be prepared. You know, if you live in a flood prone area, or even if you live close to a flood prone area, do whatever you can now, take precautions now to protect your life and property, because you may be very glad that you took those precautions tomorrow. Let's hope not. Let's hope that let's hope that these models are wrong. Let's hope that I'm blowing it out of proportion, but just in case I'm not, be ready. Okay, so here is the full progression of the storm on radar as we go all the way through tomorrow. And isn't that a sight we all like to see? Ida's getting out of here. That's right. By 6 p.m. tomorrow, other than just a couple light rain showers up here in Maine, we should all be completely done with Hurricane Ida, and also maybe some scattered thunderstorms down here in the southern portion of the United States that are associated with the cold front that she brought down. But for the most part, we are done. And real quick, speaking of the cold front that Ida's going to bring down tomorrow, this is the high temperatures for tomorrow, guys. Look, we're talking about upstate New York here in the 50s and 60s, portions of Maine in the lower 50s, and even out here in the Ohio Valley, all the way down into portions of Tennessee, we might not break out of the 70-degree range tomorrow, which is going to be quite the relief. And I guess that's one good thing from Hurricane Ida. She has put an end to the constant, unbearable heat out here. So we're going to have a couple days break from that, thanks to her. All right, now, are we done with hurricanes and tropical storms after Ida leaves? Unfortunately not. Okay, we are in peak hurricane season. There's a lot of activity out there. We've got Ida exiting the United States this way. We've got Tropical Storm Kate here, which let's take a look at her. This is still expected to just go north and be a fish storm. This is only going to affect the fishes out there. If there are any fishes that are watching this, this is just a tropical depression. Don't worry about it. Now, coming back to this graphic, this is the one I'm a little bit more concerned about, okay? This is Tropical Storm Larry. That's right, we're all the way up to L in the alphabet here with our storms. Tropical Storm Larry formed sometime yesterday, and we are already expecting it to become a major hurricane. That's right, this will probably be our next major hurricane this year. The problem is, the thing that we don't know is this one going to affect the United States, okay? If you look at the track here, you can kind of draw your own line out from there, and you'll be like, oh, well, maybe it's going to come all the way up and hit the northeast, or maybe it's going to pull a move that a lot of hurricanes do and then kind of recurve down this way and hit Florida or Georgia or something. But as of right now, at this very moment that I'm filming this, it does look like the high pressure that normally sends storms our way isn't strong enough to do so. And at most, this could affect Bermuda, but the current models are taking it just like the fish storm there, Kate. This could be a major fish storm, but as of right now, it doesn't look like it's going to affect land. I say that with an abundance of caution, though, because we've said that so many times in the past. I don't know if you guys remember Hurricane Florence or not down here in the Carolinas. It had the exact same look to it. It was forecasted to become a major hurricane right here. It came off the coast of Africa, and it was supposed to do this for a long time until it didn't. Okay, at some point, we were expecting it to go like this, but it was here, and then it was here, and then it was here, and then it was, like it didn't go that way. We love our forecast models. The science and technology we have in the weather world is absolutely mind-blowing. It's crazy to me that we can even know that there's storms going to form in the future. However, there's still a lot of problems with them, and I do believe that they could be wrong enough right now to where this thing could affect the United States in the future, but as of right now, I'm not going to say start preparing for a hurricane because it's really too early to tell. And the last thing we got to watch down here in the tropics is this little area of convection in the southern Caribbean Sea. An area of low pressure continues to produce disorganized shower activity across the southwestern Caribbean Sea. Some slow development on this system remains possible. So this is one we got to watch here because if something does form, there's always the possibility that it comes up into the Gulf. That's what happened with Hurricane Ida. It formed down here. And in the beginning, it looked just like this. It was a little yellow lemon, but this one does look like it's a little bit less organized, and I don't know if we're going to see anything form there or not. I'm mostly concerned about Larry here. So let's get one more look at Larry. All right, last forecast model we're going to look at, I promise. This is the GFS model. We're looking at the Atlantic basin here. You see the United States over here. You see South America here. You see the United Kingdom way up here, and this is Africa. I know this can be overwhelming to look at if this is the first time you've seen it, but and here's our storm, okay? This is Tropical Storm Larry. That's a funny name for a storm. I don't know why, Larry. But anyways, it's going to continue to go due west almost and rapidly extend its wind field and become stronger, okay? This could, once again, by this point, be a major hurricane. We're talking about category 3 or 4, and it's at this point where all eyes are going to be on it, okay? There's going to be hurricane hunters flying into the storm. We're going to be doing everything we can to sample as much data from this storm as possible and the areas around it so that we can make sure our forecast models have enough data in there to give us the most accurate forecast out ahead of time. So at this point, it's somewhere around here where it decides to recurve right there. You see that? So, man, that turns into a big storm too. Right around here, I think what the model is suggesting here is that this area of high pressure is going to try to send it down a little bit further south like most of the time it does, but it's going to be attracted to our jet stream here and all the other low pressure systems that are getting ejected off to the north and east. Remember, cyclones in the northern hemisphere just have a tendency to gradually go north, and it looks like that, the model is suggesting it's going to follow its tendency there, gets caught up in the jet stream, and then possibly become a pretty big storm for the United Kingdom there at some point. But yeah, that's what it looks like right now. Not 100% sure that I buy it, but we are going to keep an eye on it, and hopefully this is what happens. But if you know any fish, share this video with them because a big one's coming, son. And that's all the weather talk I have for you today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We're still gaining an incredible amount of subscribers. I'm hoping that we can get to 80,000 subscribers here soon. So if you're one of those people who haven't subscribed yet, but you're coming back, you're searching me on YouTube, you're trying to find my videos, you don't have to do that. Make you an account if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, and every time I post, you get a little ding on your phone, and you'll be able to click it there and come watch the video. I will be back tomorrow, and we're going to talk some more about all the threats here with our potential tropics, and also we're going to talk more about the rest of the United States since Ida will be out of here, okay? All right, goodbye.